Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of November 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. If the reading resonates and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's link number 1 in the description box. Link number 2 is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost, plus hang out with a truly extraordinary group of people. So if that sounds like it is your bag, Gemini, you know what to do. Now, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Gemini, please? There we go. There's the first one. We have the 3 of Cups in your recent past. Can I have current energy for Gemini, please? Thank you. 7 of Swords. And what about what is coming towards Gemini for November, please? Oh, goodness. There it is. Got the Ace of Pentacles. Wonderful. I like this. We've got the 5 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, followed by the 8 of Swords, and that actually is pretty much in alignment with what I was feeling about this, in so much as there are opportunities for you in November, and well, I'll be honest, Gemini, in all likelihood these opportunities already exist. It's just that you're not seeing them at the moment. Like the energy for all of the signs that I've read for, and you're 11 of 12 now, is pushing towards new starts, right? And we've, as I'm recording this, we've got the lunar eclipse showing up in Taurus, and as you know, there's lunar eclipses about big releases, but they're also about big new starts, because I don't think that you have something just end and then that's it. There's a space, right? There's something that rushes in to fill the space. The sense that I've got that the opportunity that you're looking for is actually already around you is really, really strong. And like I said, it's borne out by these cards here, because we've got the 5 of Swords representing how you're thinking about something in a slightly wonky fashion, Gemini, right? There's some sort of cognitive loop here that needs challenging. There's something that needs breaking down in terms of the way that you are thinking about something. And we've got the 8 of Swords saying that the problem here is that your eyes are covered, you're blindfolded, and you think you're trapped, and you're not. I mean, that's the received wisdom of the 8 of Swords, that nothing is nearly quite as intractable as we think it is. If we allow our mind to give way, and I think this is probably going to be the thing that is most relevant for you, you've got to let your mind give way on something that it is currently very fixed about. Now, although I'm talking about things in terms of a fixed mindset, and this is the 5 of Swords, so it's representing an instability because it's 5 and Swords of the mind. I'm not saying you're all unstable. I'm saying there's something about the thought processes that you find yourself ambling along at the moment isn't the right way. And there's a certain amount of kind of meandering around this central point that you're going to need to do before you finally arrive at the realization that it is the way that you're thinking about this that is wrong. I say fixed because this card represents Aquarius. I forget quite what its designation is, but it represents Aquarius, and so we have that fixed air energy. Now, Gemini isn't fixed, right? You're mutable or double-bodied, as they would say in ancient astrology, right? You've got that energy of being able to move around a central point, and it's a very bad thing for you to get stuck in something, because it's not actually a high expression of your energy. Interestingly enough, that is a Gemini card there, but I think it's Jupiter in Gemini. So you've got Jupiter, the planet of expansion. It ends expanding the stuckness. And I think when it expands to a certain point that it becomes so uncomfortable, there is no possibility left, right? There is no new information that can come in that can take you away from the realization that it's the way that you're thinking about this, it's the way that you're approaching it. It could be certain old things that you're bringing along for the ride that don't need to be there anymore. They're just simply not relevant because times are changing and everything is changing. What's being called upon here is for you to change the way that you're thinking about it. let's get some clarifiers out, and we'll take it from there. Because despite everything that I've just said there, I really welcome the Eight of Swords. I really do, when it shows up. Because one of the biggest issues that we have in our lives generally, and there are many issues that we can have, is where we feel like we don't have any power in a situation, right? Where either our emotions are in control or our mind is in control, and we're like, I'm stuck here. I can't go that way, I can't go that way, I can't go that way, so I'm literally just stuck where I am, and it doesn't feel good. The reality of the situation is, we've got our eyes closed, we've got our hands over our eyes, we've got a blindfold on, right? We're not seeing things as they actually are. And sometimes that requires us to let go of a certain set of expectations. Sometimes it's a rejigging of priorities that needs to happen. For example, when somebody says that they don't have time to do a thing, that thing or whatever. Oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't have time. Like, that is, at its heart, a lie. I'm just going to be as blunt as that. It is a lie. Everybody has time for everything. What they don't have time is to do all the things that they want to do in any given 24-hour period. So it becomes a question of priorities. Like, I would love to do all sorts of things that I don't have time for, right? That's the essential proposition that I start off with. But it's a question of where I choose to invest my energy, where I choose to invest my time. Now, there are certain things that are important to me, like looking after my children, but I could choose not to do that. That would not be cool, but I could choose not to do that. That is something that I choose to do. There is my work, which I choose to do. I could say, oh, you know, I don't have time to do more videos, perhaps, right? To produce 48 videos a month for YouTube and Vimeo, rather than the 24 that I do. But that's not actually true. What I'm saying is there are other things that are more of a priority on my time, and my children are one of those. And I'm not prepared to compromise on time that I spend with my kids in order to do more work here. Do you see what I mean? Even though this is very important. And you could bring all sorts of things into that, right? The first proposition that we start off with isn't true. And it's the thing that makes us feel powerless. Now, if I look at it, this from a different perspective, an entirely different perspective, recognizing that the Eight of Swords is at play here, and say, right, well, I have a finite amount of time in a day, and my children occupy this much of it, and my work occupies this much of it, and if I want to do anything additionally, I'm going to have to compromise somewhere. Am I prepared to compromise on the kids? No. Could I perhaps create videos that were shorter in duration but came out more frequently? Yeah, I could totally do that. Could I get up an hour earlier and do something that way? Yes, I could do that. Did you see what I mean? Suddenly the power is back in my hands to choose, to take responsibility, to be autonomous about the way that I divide the labour up, divide the time that is available up. So it comes down to priorities. And I feel like there's something here that is not only a fixed mindset that is kind of being hammered by the energies of November, that's saying like, change this, which interestingly is self-generated, because we don't have any major arcana on the table here. It's not like the universe is kicking the shit out of you and saying, Gemini, you must change. It's like you are uncomfortable and you are coming to the realization that you need to change something. And it could be about the way that your day is ordered. It could be about where your time actually goes. But I feel like there's something else kind of dinging away in here, it being a particular perspective that you hold on a particular situation that is more a reflection of your fixed thinking than the intractability of the situation that is in front of you. And if you clear that up, suddenly those opportunities that I do feel very strongly are actually already there, you can start putting some energy into. Now, let's have a look. Tell me about this Three of Cups, please. We've got the Moon card. Speaking of major arcana, there we go. It's Cancer card. Got something coming out in reverse there. Eight of Pentacles. Ooh, interesting. Seven of Swords. Got the Five of Swords. again. And we've got the Temperance card. Very nice. Sagittarius energy. Tell me about the Ace of Pentacles, please. Oh, good Lord. We've got the Seven of Cups. And we've got the Queen of Wands. With another Cancer card, interestingly enough. The Chariot sat at the bottom of the deck. And the Chariot can represent all sorts of things. But ultimately, it talks about knowledge of self. That's what allows you to balance everything out, which is what the Chariot card can talk about. It's what allows you to set a goal and actually achieve it, because the things within you that are imbalanced, that are pulling your chariot off its path, are being pulled into alignment, right? It all comes down to self-knowledge, self-worth, self-awareness, anything that you can prefix self onto is covered by the Chariot card here. And, you know, by extension, actually, it represents shadow work to me, because what is shadow work but integration of bits of ourselves that we have kicked away from us? Now, if you're, you know, like this because something that was really important, that was, you know, going to balance everything out, has been kicked into the long grass, and you're not actually acknowledging that about yourself, then shadow work will bring that back into alignment. Like, the whole point of shadow work is to bring you back into alignment, to integrate, to become whole, so that you're not kind of waddling around one-sided. But I digress. Anyway, we start off with the Three of Cups, which is a lot to do with the people that are around you. Now, the Two of Cups would be you and one other person, right? It could be your significant other, it could be a friend, it could be even somebody at work, right? But the Three of Cups is a little bit more to do with the general body of people that are around you. I tend to talk about this in terms of emotional support networks, because what are friends if not that, you know, even if they're not stroking our hair while we're, you know, sobbing over a bowl of ice cream. Like, there are lots of different ways to emotionally support, and sometimes it's just through presence, you know, doing things together that you enjoy. There's something very emotionally nourishing about that. But I feel like it's much more the question of the people that are around you. Or perhaps for some of you, to an extent, the people that are not around you in any sort of way. You know, do you have a functional emotional support network? You know, something that emotionally nourishes you, or do you not? And what's really interesting about this is that we don't seem to be this month focusing on the quality of people around you, but more the extent to which they hold up a mirror to you and show you where the issue is. It could well be that this is the blind spot for you, Gemini. I've just got done through doing. I just got through doing. Oh, completely blanked. Oh yes, Cancer. Bless them. I've got just done through Cancer. And I have no idea what I was about to tell you about that. I literally have just blanked. It'll probably come back if it's important. Oh, it's weird as well, because we've got two Cancer cards sitting here. I wonder if there's some sort of message in there for, like, if you have got Cancer somewhere in your, say, in your big three, you might want to go and check out the Cancer video. But yeah, you know, we've got a literal mirror here with the Moon card. We're seeing bits of ourselves that are usually obscured from us in some sort of way. Oh yes, I was telling Cancer about how, no, it's gone again. I'm obviously not supposed to tell you about this. It keeps coming up to the surface, and as soon as I open my mouth, it disappears. What the fuck? That's bizarre. Right, anyway, we'll just not go down that road. We'll not talk about it. We'll talk about how people are actually the way by which we learn about ourselves. Now, it would be great if we could all just sit and meditate on top of a hilltop and, you know, really, really get into the deepest parts of us. But for the most part, those of us who are not, you know, Buddhas in training, how we learn is through relationships, is through our interactions with other people. And sometimes those can be very painful lessons, and sometimes those can be incredibly emotionally nourishing, right? And it depends very much on what it is that you're kicking out. Because if the people that surround you are a mirror, I saw a thing on Instagram, and there's some dude. He's obviously like a professional speaker teaching people about themselves and stuff. And he said, if you want to know what kind of person you are, just think about the people that you've met in the last week. Like, who are the people that you've spent time with? Because if you're vexed and irritated by every single person that comes into your environment, chances are there's something that's kind of vexing and kind of irritating about you that you are not seeing, right? So spend a bit of time with that and have a think about it. Conversely, if the people that you're surrounded with are incredibly nourishing and wonderful and give you a lot, then there's an aspect of that there that is in you, very deeply within you, to the extent that you are accepted by that group as being part of that overall vibe of people, you know? The moon card's asking you to look at yourself, or has had you, I think, looking at yourself and examining your group of people around you and saying, is it working? I've got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse there. It's actually a message that feels quite Seven of Pentacles in some aspect of it, a little flavour of it here, because the Seven of Pentacles is very much that, like, what do I need to do now? Something here is not right and I need to change something. But the Eight of Pentacles in reverse is kind of like where we put all the energy into something, where we put our motivation, our effort into something, where we're really working at things. Where is it dried up? And if it's dried up, has it dried up for a reason? Because it's not worth it, or because there's something going on with you? Now, I realise that what I'm saying here is quite confrontational and some of you might take offence at it, but there's no judgment here. There's something that doesn't feel right to you somewhere. That feels almost implied by the presence of the lack of a presence of the Seven of Pentacles, but the reversed Eight of Pentacles. It's like, where have you topped out? Because you seem to have topped out somewhere. You seem to have stopped putting effort in somewhere. And it's because it's trying to show you something about yourself. I'm not sure it's necessarily a reflection of the quality of the people that are around you, but it might be. And if it is, then perhaps it might be time to do something about that. I want to pull another clarifier here. Because both of these Cancer cards, the Moon and the Chariot here, have shades in their various expressions of getting to know who you are, right? And Cancer rules the 4th house in astrology. Does it? It does. I always have to check, because I always want to say the 7th house, but actually it rules my 7th house. It's not the 7th house. It rules the 4th house. And that's known, certainly in ancient astrology, as the subterranean place, right? It is the very root of you. So this Cancer energy is saying, look at the very root of you. And where are you being nourished? Where does it feel like that's being nourished? And where is it not? Because it almost feels like there's something missing here, but there's something missing is coming from you, not necessarily from the people that are around you. And it's come for some reason because the effort is not being put in. Now, it could be because the situation's not worth it. Actually, it's just not a good group of people. Like, maybe it's a bit toxic, or at best it's a little bit mediocre, and there's no reciprocity there. There's nothing really to invest in. Or it could be that you've kind of seized up, you've slowed, you've got stuck. And there's something here really deep and really profound that you're supposed to see about your subterranean place, which is the place that most other people don't get to see, which is also what the Moon talks about, that is asking you to notice it and start putting the effort into it. Bingo. It's almost like there's a light that's gone out, or it's felt like there's been a light that's gone out in you, and no matter how hard you've tried, you don't seem to be able to reignite it. You tried all of the usual things, but it's just not doing it. That spark has been missing. And I think it's because you've been looking everywhere other than in this subterranean place. It's not criticism at all. Like, we all have blind spots, and I think this represents a big one for you. And it's one where, you know, no amount of attempting to get new information about the situation is helping, because you've been looking over there and the problem's over here. You know, I'm not saying you're a problem. I'm saying that there's something here for you to work through. And the spark of initiation, which is the Ace of Wands, is doing things differently. And that's what the Ace of Wands talks about. Yes, it's new creativity and new passion. Maybe you need to get out there and meet some people in a different environment. Take up a hobby that is full of people who are doing that thing as well, so there's a shared interest. It could be something like that. But ultimately, that Ace of Wands is about doing things differently to the way that you've done them before. Because you've topped out where you are. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in now, it's just becoming more burdensome because the effort's going in the wrong direction. So we move into your current energy, and we've got the Seven of Swords, Five of Swords, and the Temperance card. Now that Seven of Swords can talk about taking a risk. It's doing something that's really quite bold, right? Something outside of the ordinary. And we could see how that would feed in very nicely to what we've seen in the cards before. But it does also have this meaning of deception. It's sometimes known as the Thief card, and we see this crows flying away with some of the swords there. And it's not being in an active state of deception of somebody else, which maybe can be at times, right? We can see it flagging up where there's some fairly duplicitous behaviour going on. But the way that the cards tend to speak to me is it showing us somewhere where we are labouring under a misapprehension. There is either something that we are completely oblivious to, and I would say that that's highly possible, or we're telling ourselves something is the way that is, and it's actually not that way at all. And it's some sort of expression of fixed thinking, you know, maybe it's even being stubborn about the fact that you don't want something when actually you really do. Something's imbalanced here. There's a bit of a mismatch going on. And the originating point is inside of you. Now it's going to take a bold move to take yourself out of that place. And it's also going to take quite a bold move to confront the fact that maybe you haven't got all of the facts correct about a situation. You know, whether it is something that is directly in front of you, or whether it's the way that you think about things. I mean, we all like to be the heroes in our own stories, right? That's a necessity for the ego. It's the thing that keeps us going. If we lose that, what's the point? If, you know, unless our ego becomes wrapped up in the idea of being a villain, like some sort of cartoon superhero, you know, cartoon villain, which is never a particularly good place to be. I mean, we've got this Five of Swords here. Again, it's more Aquarian energy. And I cannot help but feel that it relates to a sense of detachment, right? Whenever we talk about Aquarius, there is the likelihood of a detachment showing up somewhere. But we don't have the healthy detachment of the Queen of Swords or the King of Swords, where they're putting their emotions to one side so that they can judge something purely on the facts of the matter. We've got someone who's knotted themselves up in their own head. We've got somebody who's kind of dug their heels in mentally about something and is refusing to see where they are labouring under some sort of misapprehension. Now, this could be the work of the subconscious. Like I said, if it's trying to cover a wound, if it's trying to cover some sort of situation that is painful to you, it will also do the same thing. This is not you consciously, you know, setting out to deceive yourself. It's not consciously you setting out to deceive someone else. But subconsciously, you don't seem to want to go too close to that thing because there's quite a lot sitting behind it. And you might not be consciously aware of that, but your subconscious certainly is. And it's you know, it's pressed up against the door going, there's just no need looking here, there's no issue here. It's kind of pushing something back. You need to kind of push it out of the way and open the door and say, there's nothing to worry about, let me have a look. Let me have a look in there. Let me see what's going on. because any kind of external information just seems to be entrenching your position. Maybe there's a little bit of cognitive bias going on here. We're all guilty of seeing what it is that we want to see rather than what is. And at this point, it's acting like self-sabotage. So we have to be bold, we have to be brave and go, what is it that I'm not seeing? What is it that I'm not looking at? And how can I bring healing to this? And in the process, balance myself out. It's another card of balance in the way that I need to be balanced in order that I might move forwards. Because with this clusterfuck of swords cards, I'm sorry, Gemini, it is a bit of a clusterfuck. You know, we've got the 5 and the 7 and the 8. And the 5 is appearing twice. It's locking up around these difficult, so any more than one sword is difficult, right? The one sword is the truth. That's the truth of the matter. That's the clarity in thinking. That's the clarity of the situation. Anything else is definitely surplus to requirements. And here you seem to be loitering around with far too many fucking swords in a state of not appearing to be able to move forwards at all. This situation needs balancing out. Which one of these swords is actually the truth, and how much of everything else is just white noise over the top that's trying to cover the fact that we don't want to shift from the position that we're in, you know? What about this Temperance card? Right, we've got the 8 of Cups and we've got the Mother of Pentacles, which is the Queen of Pentacles. The 8 of Cups does say that there is something here that needs emotionally moving away from. This is something that you're carrying around that I think possibly you haven't even noticed. I mean, if you did, in all likelihood, you wouldn't be in this position right here. But it's something that it seems you're oblivious to. Now, you've got double 8 here as you have double 5. So, you know, the 5s are representing the shift, the change, the instability, right? The inherent chaos of trying to maintain the position that you're in. Whereas 8s represent power, autonomy, sovereignty. How do you get your power back in this situation? Well, you recognize that it's your thought processes that are sending you off track. And you dig around in those enough to work out what the emotional root is to it. And it might surprise you, Gemini, to find out what this is. There could be all sorts of things that are loitering around down there, pretending not to be there, you know, trying to be invisible and whatnot. But when you consciously look for them, they can't really evade for much longer. It's only in the, you know, where you're blinkered and you don't see it that they get to kind of scuttle around in the darkness. This Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. Now, we could say that that might be a nod to Pluto because that has recently stationed direct in the sign of Capricorn. That happened, I think, on the 10th of October. And rather than being in retrograde motion as he has been, right, he's now moving forwards very slowly because it's a slow-moving planet. But he's moving over those last degrees, very powerful degrees of Capricorn, where we are breaking down structures, systems, coping mechanisms, you know, all sorts of things in our head that we have considered to be very necessary for the efficient running of our lives. What it's saying is that you've basically reached a cul-de-sac. You've reached the end of the line for this particular coping mechanism to be useful to you anymore. And there was a point probably where it was useful, otherwise it wouldn't have continued. But it's really hit its expiration date now, and it's time for it to go. Pluto will be moving into Aquarius in January sometime. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's the 3rd week of January. And there's going to be a lot that changes in light of that. And we could see the cards speaking to this, we're back to this again. Sorry, this has come up for quite a few sides. This kind of clearing house process, ready for Pluto's ingress into Aquarius. Because then you're coming at it with clean Aquarian energy rather than this rather shonky, wonky Aquarian energy. But the Queen of Pentacles also, represents self-care, self-love, nurturing. right? Where you put the attention. If you've been focusing on what is wrong outside of you, and particularly if what is wrong is the people or even the lack of people around you, right? The emotional support network as it's supposed to be but isn't, or the emotional support network that doesn't exist but should. Take it as it resonates to you. It's saying that the movement, the investment, actually starts here with you first. You have to be tender with yourself, you have to be gentle with yourself, but you absolutely have to have a look and see what it is that is keeping you restricted and stuck, at least to your mind, and let it go. Because that's what the Eight of Cups is. Let it go. This is not an emotional situation that you need to carry around with you anymore. And, you know, subconscious, thanks for doing all the heavy lifting for so long, but really put it the fuck down now. Because we're trying to clear our energy, ready for the possibility of the new investment, new places where we can put all of our effort, all of our attention, all of our energy. You know, what has come to a halt here is getting reignited here, and it's clarified by the Seven of Cups and the Queen of Wands. Now, this is Aries energy, so it's absolutely about initiation as much as the Page of Pentacles is, but it's also about visibility. And we've got the Seven of Cups, which usually represents daydream, confusion, illusion. It's that Neptunian quality of having emotions that we don't really understand. And, you know, we've got all of these cups in front of us and we're being told that we need to pick one. And you're like, well, fuck, I can't even see what's in half of the cups. Sometimes there's an all that glitters is not gold about this. I'm not really feeling that energy for you here. Because what I like about this is there's something kind of objective about the way that this woman is positioned in front of this shot. And you can't quite see it. I'll hold it up. But there's a glass window there. Right? So from her vantage point, she can look into all of the cups. She can see what they contain. But she's not quite at the point where she can take one yet. She's going to have to go into the shop and get to the counter and you know, indicate which one of these cups she wants, or you know, several of these cups potentially. But for the time being, she's just examining what's in them. Now, I think that this month is actually probably pretty fucking transformative for you, because having realized where it is that you've kind of seized up, having put down what it is that you've been carrying without even realizing that you're carrying, and resolving to invest in, you know, the good stuff, the new stuff moving forwards, you're sort of left with a heap of cups inside of you that aren't broken and shattered like these ones, right? There is some potential utility, but it's about kind of sorting out which ones actually mean something to you. Which ones are you going to invest in? Because it seems to me that you can see clearly now what you couldn't see before emotionally. And some of that might be a little bit poisonous. We've got a little bottle of poison in that cup there. But it might be simply that you've got a whole heap of emotions coming up to the surface that you didn't realise were there. And what you've got in November is an opportunity to really engage with those. And furthermore, with the Queen of Wands, you've got this increased visibility, because she always talks about visibility and confidence and all that sort of stuff, right? Coming to the surface, it feels like you are getting in touch with your emotions, and it is changing the way that you are showing up in the world. I feel that quite strongly. I've already got Seven of Cups again. I'm not going to go through that again. Oh my fucking God. I love it when shit like this happens, right? I said what I fucking said. That's what that cup, that's what those sets of cards, yeah. Seven of Cups, Queen of Wands. Seven of Cups, Queen of Wands. There is no more message here. That is the message, Gemini. Like, you can totally change things around. But first, and this is what I think that these four cards are speaking to, you must understand your underlying subconscious emotional motivations, because you can do anything that you fucking want, but until you know who you are, and there's a huge explosion in self-awareness for you this month, you're not going to go where you think you are going to go. You're not even going to go where you think you want to go, because you spend time looking at this and you're looking at it kindly, you're nurturing it, you're spending a bit of time with it. It's going to show you things that you did not see, and that is going to change where it is that you think your attention, your energy, your effort, maybe even your money needs to go. I like the Queen of Wands for initiation. I like the Queen of Wands for understanding why we are doing something, because she's the internal subjective experience of the suit of Wands. Right? The King of Wands is doing the thing. Queen of Wands is, why are we doing the thing? What is the purpose of us doing the thing? How are we going to do the thing? What is the best way to do the thing? It's very internal. Seven of Cups, very internal. Confusing feelings rising to the surface. Queen of Wands is examining it all and going, right, what are we going to do about this? Where are we going to put our attention? Where are we going to put our energy? I think you're going to find yourself pulling a 180 turn, not a 180 turn, 90-degree turn on something this month, Gemini. And it's going to feel like a massive breakthrough for you, but it's a bit like picking up a box and tipping everything up off the floor, onto the floor. And you're like, cool, I've got the box. I wanted the box, but now I've got all of this stuff on the floor. And actually, some of this stuff looks pretty useful. Some of it looks like a load of crap and probably throw out. But I may just sort this out so that I can use the box. The Ace of Pentacles is the box in my head, right? I can use that for the task that I had assigned for it. This is why I went looking for the box in the first place. But all of these things that I've just tipped out actually might help me. And in the very least, they need tidying up anyway. And in the act of going through all of those things, I think you're finding things that are sparking something. And this is what was missing before, was the spark. It's sparking an idea, it's sparking a train of thought, it's sparking a level of self-awareness, which is awesome, but it's also sparking the changed behavior. I'm actually going to go this way. I'm going to go and do that. This is awesome, Gemini. I actually really, really like this. It is in those moments where we are most uncomfortable and we feel most stuck that we can claim our redemption arc for ourselves, right? We can haul ourselves out of this and become more powerful, stronger, sort the brain out, sort the emotions out, sort all of the things out. This is empowering as fuck. I'm here for this all day long, right? I'm going to go and do the extended now. If you would like to join me, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Circle, you can do that on Vimeo, and I would of course be delighted to see you in either of those places. But if not, be kind to yourself this month, Gemini, but be pretty fucking honest with yourself as well, because I think there are things that are coming to light that are going to feel slightly uncomfortable, but if you can embrace those fully, you're completely releasing yourself from what has felt really quite uncomfortable for a while. This is really, really big. I like this a lot. Right, know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.